go boom.
Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is the Dawnbringers. The Wild Beyond the WitchLight. This is our Season 6, Episode 4, Like Sands Through the Hourglass. As you can tell by starting off with a giggle, V is here. Unfortunately, Katie could not join us tonight. She will be missed. But we will get to our game in just a moment. We're going to do just a couple of quick announcements, and then we'll get into the recap and get on with the game proper. All right. Well, first off, I want to push this button here because I owe you a domain die thank you, Cajun Kevin, for that resub. And in case you are wondering what the domain dice are or need a little bit of a refresher, you see the up above Dan and V in the upper right hand corner, the butterfly dice up there. Those are domain dice earned by the players from you when you do things like subscribe or gift subs or resub. Tip $5, cheer 500 bits, do a Ko-fi thing. Any of those things will earn domain tomes. It's where they get all their superpowers. Dice, dang it. I was doing so good, too. Domain dice.
That's your other child, Dad.
Yes. Domain dice. But yeah, they can use those things to do things like reroll or make me reroll all the way up to a super crit, which is a double max damage critical hit. But your children in a carnival, how much trouble can you get into? We'll see, I guess. I also want to, of course, mention our sponsor, Mini Terrain Domain and Dawnbringers in particular. We are sponsored by Session Zero Clothing. Very excited to be partnered up with them. Trying to remember the code real quick. I believe I have it here. Oh, Jeremy's already way ahead of me. And I would have typed in the wrong one, just so you know. the one that set it up. Check out Session Zero Clothing, sponsored the Dawnbringers, The Wild Beyond the Witchlight. They offer a selection of nerdy shirts, long sleeve shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, hats, like this black on black Session Zero D20. It says Session Zero in the back. They've got stickers. I can't show them to you because I have them over here on my workbench and on a couple of my notebooks. All kinds of great stuff. And if you follow that link, our affiliate link, and use code MTD0 at checkout, you will get 10% off of your order and help to support the channel. Please go check it out. Ryan over there is just an awesome human being and working hard to keep things in stock and a wide variety of designs available for you. So check that out. Also, please check out our channel sponsors, Talon and Claw and Run Right Play. You can type !MTD Claw in chat or !RWP at any point. Those will pop up periodically. With Talon and Claw, check out their amazing wooden dice accessories, game dice vaults, DM screens, all kinds of cool stuff like that. And according to his Twitter, they are constantly working on new and some pretty cool looking new products. Follow the Etsy link there in the chat. Use code MTDClaw at checkout and get 10% off your order. Yeah, I feel like there was something else I was going to mention and it slipped my mind. So I'm going to just move right on past that. The last thing I want to mention before we start playing this game here is just take a moment to remind you that you matter. Your presence here on this earth makes a difference, whether or not you believe it. It's okay to struggle. There's any number of reasons you might be struggling, or you might know somebody who's struggling, but we don't want you to think that you have to struggle alone. You can, at any time you want here in chat, like Jeremy has already done, you can type !help. The message will pop up periodically in chat and at the bottom of the screen, or findahelpline.com. It is a free, easy to use resource. You simply type in your location, where you are in the world, hit enter, and a number of help services, websites, phone numbers, text numbers will all pop up relevant to your location. So please bookmark that site for yourself, save it for a friend, and just remember that it's there. And remember, you matter. With that, I think it's time to play some Dungeons and Dragons. All right, we are in the WitchLight Carnival, where our Dawnbringers entered the carnival and were magically transformed into their childlike selves. That's right, the Dawnbringers are Muppet babies for the time being, as they are spending the next several hours in the WitchLight Carnival. They have already managed to get into a slight bit of mischief here and there. They have also picked up a couple of side quests along the way, apparently, as a sad gnome went running into, or halfling, a sad man went running into the Hall of Mirrors when he thought that his love interest had spurned his proposal, and he was lured away through a mirror in the Hall of Illusions. They also met up with the Displacer Beast, whose name is suddenly escaping me. It's Durlagron, I want to say, who they found out is missing their own child. Yes, I got it right, Durlagron, who is missing their Displacer kitten. And they've participated in a few games and contests. They caught a mischievous Kenku who had shapeshifted and stolen a mime's voice. They were able to get the voice returned to the mime, who was able to give his own proposal to Parlasha the mermaid, and the whole of the carnival seemed to lift as this happened. They went to the feasting orchard, participated in a fairy cake eating contest, during which time Cantriel noticed some rather unscrupulous little weirdos. I mean, it's in their name. They are the Weird Three. And Cantriel found that she was suddenly in the company of someone calling themselves Eliwick Tumblestrum, who said that there was quite a story involved with these individuals, and I don't know what is going on.
With what?
So, my children are misbehaving in the side chat, is what I'm seeing.
Now that doesn't sound like us.
Not at all. I'm like, what? Wait, who? Okay. Get yourself a game and get yourself some players that are as fun to have in the side chat as they are in the main quest. With that, I think it is time to get back into the situation here. And I think the first thing that happens is immediately following winning this fairy cake eating contest, Rollo is immediately going into a food coma, curling up on Drown's shoulder and just into this tiny, tiny little Dragon Ball, I guess, with butterfly wings. Okay, I could have.
So the little Dragon Ball is getting its Z's?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
I'm the bard.
Yep. And around that same time, having participated in a very minuscule form, Talmud ate quite a fair number of these fake cakes, and is sitting sort of just laying in the empty plate of cakes, surrounded by crumbs, with a big round belly. And I just imagine there's this tremendous belch, and right in the midst of the table, Talmud, you just go, and you return to your normal size. What does that look like as you return? Though with apparently the fake cakes also enlarged with you, you are still quite full of fake cakes.
Okay, so I imagine that this table was somewhat rickety to start with. You know, they travel around with this carnival, you know, from place to place. So this table is not a super sturdy thing. And when Talmud suddenly kind of bursts back to his full like size, there's this enormous groaning noise that kind of follows the belch, and it takes like a longer time than it should before you realize it's not coming from Talmud. It's actually the legs of the table itself, which then buckle, and the whole thing just like gives way underneath, and he kind of like slams down onto the table as it hits the stage or whatever that this was on, and he just lets out this long
I don't feel so good.
And Cantriel, that was right about the moment that Eliwick Tumblestrum had said that you should gather the rest of your friends around when this commotion happens over by the table.
Are you sure you want us to gather?
She just looks at you, and she just, with a twinkle in her eye, she just smiles brightly and says, absolutely.
All right, don't say I didn't warn you, though, because that's normal.
I would expect nothing less. Right. I'll be over here when you're ready.
Okay.
Guys, come here. She's snoring. It's so damn cute.
Pointing to
Really?
Rollo curled up on his shoulder.
Actually, come here instead.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, like, come over, because she's not going to stay until everyone's there.
Talmud is like a turtle on his back. He's just like slapping the ground, trying to get turned over and get back
Drown
on
will
his
kind
feet.
of scoop him up by the collar as he walks past and sort of haul him up to his feet.
Thanks, big guy.
Yep, no problem.
I met someone, and we're supposed to go over and talk with her. She might have some information for us. She's right over there.
And she'll
People are
point to
either
Eliwick.
incredibly helpful here or really in the way. There's not really much of an in-between on it.
Well, she wasn't in the way and she's offering help.
Great. Good side of the coin. Let's go.
Cantriel will walk in the direction she saw Eliwick go.
Thorgarn, were you in the orchard? I believe everybody was here in the
I
orchard.
think we were
weren't
all
they?
here, weren't we?
Yeah,
Okay.
everyone was there.
I think we were, a few of us were scrupulously keeping us all together because we'd gotten separated a few times.
Thorgarn had no interest in the pie eating contest. He was just kind of watching from the sides.
No interest in the wanton display of gluttony.
Nope.
So, Cantriel gathers everybody over to meet up with this this woman, Eliwick Tumblestrum. She is a gnome who has her musical instrument now strung across her lap. And you would notice as you come up, she has a tiny white frog perched on her shoulder. Well, tiny to some of you, like Drown. Relatively large looking to Fig. And some of you in your smaller forms. And she's just sitting there almost absent-mindedly plucking away. And even just, it's almost like she's tuning her instrument, but not. And it's just this incredibly beautiful notes that are coming out as you all gather around in this little corner of the orchard where she has is sitting by a little table. Right, well, it is quite nice to meet all of you. I am Eliwick Tumblestrum. I don't expect you to know who I am.
Good.
But let's
And
just say
great.
I know a little bit about who you are.
Huh.
Drown?
Like the full story?
Oh, more than you know, Cantriel. I am a traveler and a storyteller. It is my job to listen to the tales that people tell and listen to the stories of adventurers. And I work them into songs and epics. I was once in Cholt, where I heard of humble adventurers who took upon a death curse in the jungles and even faced a powerful lich. I once saw a tabaxi, a human, a half-elf, and their friends go from strangers to tavern owners to parlaying with dragons and criminal masterminds in the back alleys of Waterdeep. I've been keeping my eye on 5 new friends who met at the library as they struggle to find meaning in the world around them, while wrestling with monsters and shadows, some of which are, well, within themselves. And I've been watching you, Dawnbringers. I've shared many a tale with Sabine the Chronicler about where you've been, what you've seen, and who you might become.
Right, so you're a bard.
A bard. Some would say the bard. But yes.
Right. Well, that sure does sound important. I guess where do we fit in?
That's... On that note, I have some good news for you, John. You
Great.
fit in
Love good news.
exactly where you are. You are
Yeah, I've
in
been getting that feeling.
the right place at the right time. It is an interesting time, to say the least. Cantriel, you noticed those 3 peculiar beings lurking around, cutting purses and pilfering on the sly.
Yeah.
And would I be correct in saying you've seen one or more of them elsewhere within the carnival?
Yeah.
And does anybody talk about them?
Pretty much just us, and then everybody else tries to shut us up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Out of sight, out of mind. Keep it that way.
And you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody that would talk about them. They're part of a peculiar deal that the owners and operators of this Fey Carnival have struck up. Have you heard about Mr. Witch and Mr. Light?
Actually, we have.
Ah,
He holds up the little figurine in his popcorn.
Drown just points over at it.
that is a very good likeness. Though, imagine them much, much larger. And, contrary to what some would tell you, Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, they're actually really nice fellows. Did you know that this carnival that you see around here, named for themselves, the WitchLight Carnival?
Yeah.
Did you know that they are not the original owners?
Well, I
Didn't
mean,
know that, no.
that's significant.
I mean, we really don't know a whole lot about this place. We just sort of showed up here and woof, and kind of gestures around at all of them. I don't know. It's been kind of a whirlwind, few hours?
Well, let me tell you, Drown. When the Feywild's involved, the wind doesn't stop whirling.
I'm getting that feeling. And honestly, I felt better than I have in a long time, so I'm all right
Well,
with
the
it.
Feywild can have that effect on you, too. Be careful. It doesn't make you forget who you are, or who you were.
No, I remember plenty.
Well, once upon a time, Mr. Witch and Mr. Light were called by other names. They lived in a realm called the Shadowfell. And there was another such carnival, not near as joyous as this one. And they ran their carnival, and the previous owner ran this carnival. And it so happened that the two carnivals appeared together for a time. And the carnival owners, they gathered together, and they shared tea and biscuits and stories. But for the entirety of the night, while the carnivals carnivaled on, they could not come to an agreement over whose carnival was the best. And the deal was struck that day that they would switch places. That Mr. Witch and Mr. Light would take over the WitchLight Carnival, and the other would take over the other carnival. And they would operate them until such a time that the carnivals should meet again. Now, no one knows for how long this has gone on. And Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, they have done much to keep this information very, very secretive. Because it turns out once they left the Shadowfell, they don't ever want to go back.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does. But there are some who have learned of the curious arrangement that they have, and they are holding that information against them, threatening to force the two carnivals to meet again, thus ripping the WitchLight Carnival from Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, and forcing them back into their old lives. They do not want this, and so they struck up a bargain. And these entities have sent forth those three that you saw skulking around. The deal is, they have free reign of the carnival, and they may steal from anyone who enters against the rules. Anybody who tries to get in without a ticket, or anybody who plays outside of the rules. But also, they stretch the boundaries, as those in the Feywild are wont to do. Rules are not firm boundaries when the Feywild is concerned. Rules are elastic. And she kind of gives just a wink over at you, Cantriel, as you have this almost, sly, knowing look on your face.
I mean, this kind of sounds like they're paying protection to a thieves guild, right?
That's a very astute observation, Drown. It's essentially what they're doing. They are being strong-armed into this arrangement. But they would do just about anything in order to keep things the way they are. There are magics afoot here. Very powerful archfey from the Feywild. I think you are a bit familiar with, by the name of Evangeline, is in trouble.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Oh, we might know her.
Well, she's in desperate need of your help in the Feywild, as I'm sure you're already aware. This carnival was arranged to be here expressly for the purpose of you getting into the Feywild. However, Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, they are carefully guarding the passageway into the Feywild. You can't just have anybody slipping back and forth. You never know what kind of people might slip in from the Feywild. Right, Cantriel?
In, out, it's all the same.
Well, as I said, you are on the right track. You helped out that mime by catching that sneaky Kingu. And now he is united with the one he loves, and the carnival is so much happier for it. I would urge you, have fun while you are here, but keep your eyes open for an opportunity to talk with Mr. Witch and Mr. Light. Get them to agree to show you the passage. But have fun while you are waiting. The carnival is still going on for another few hours.
It's really a fantastic place, too.
It really is. I have been traveling around with it for a little while. It is such a joy to see all of the people that come and go. So many stories, so many songs. I'm going to have to go soon. Is there anything I can do for you before I go? Any questions?
Gosh, I don't know. Is there anything you can do for us? What kind of blue sky, you know?
Any type of bargaining chip that we could use for Witch and Light to help us with, getting to the passage?
As I said, Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, they are trying to keep the knowledge of their arrangement secret. Very few know of this arrangement. You
Is there any proof of it?
are now among that. Well, what would you look for in the way of proof? I mean, if you simply...
Gosh, I don't know. That gives us some leverage, right? If we want to let them know, hey, talk to us about this thing, or we're going to blab your secret all over the place. Will anyone care if we just blab their secret, or will we need to show some sort of proof? Back it up. I don't know.
Or a paper or anything? Contract?
The Feywild is not known for dealing with paper contracts. They tend to be more verbal and spiritual arrangements.
But with all the trees around, you could think, parchment would be easy.
Just at that moment, walking behind you is you see just that 12-foot tall treant Northwind with Red the Squirrel on the shoulders. They're just lazily walking by. Yeah, I don't think many of the trees would take too kindly to be being turned into paper. And while people may not care about, or many people may not care about this arrangement, Witch and Light do.
So when they say that, like, I prefer to work with metal, not wood. Throwing that out there.
She kind of looks at you, being a gnome, and you being in your childlike form. You're right about the same size, I imagine, though stockier. And she just kind of reaches over and just sort of pats your hand. Yes, you are very good with working with metal.
Talmud
Super good.
kind of has his face all like contorted up, and it's very obvious he's thinking very, very hard. And he finally just blurts out,
Wouldn't the people who were here first remember the two guys who ran it before Witch and Light came?
Just one individual.
Or just one person.
But
Maybe there's a name?
there's a name, but it's not relevant to this story. That carnival is not on the Feywild. That carnival moves around in the domains of dread.
Yeah,
Let us
but maybe
hope-
if we know the name, maybe it might, get Witch and Light to realize we know stuff.
I don't know what domains of dread are, but I think I'm comfortable saying we can just skip that for now.
Their
And, hang out here.
their very name implies that is not a place that you want to go.
Pretty much what I'm getting at, yeah.
So,
Okay.
remind me, Jake, how much are we aware of how we've been modified? Do we have our old memories? Is everything a blur?
You know what you would know. You just have the, I don't want to say cloud, but you have the, I guess the opposite of a cloud. You have the freedom of being childlike now. So some of those childlike emotions, it's like you're unfettered from the shackles of adulthood responsibilities and thoughts. You know you have all your memories and everything, but they just don't seem quite as important to you at the moment.
So, do we want to just kind of look around until you stumble upon them? Or do we want to just go seek them out?
Well, we know where the staff area is. And I guess it really just comes down to how hard do we want to try and get our foot in the door and make them listen.
In my experience, if you want the boss of a place, you just have to make enough noise. They'll show up.
So one thing we want to be careful about, this place seems to react to when good or bad things happen. And it kind of, remember when fella was heartbroken and went off through the mirror and everybody heard about that, and then a storm appeared out of nowhere and all that good stuff. And that went away when the mime and Pasha got together. We got to be careful about how we do things here. We want to stay on the happy side of stuff.
Crap.
So no, just raising hell. Fun hell.
Or catch flies with honey approach.
Sure.
Listen,
Yeah, we
we
spread
gotta
some
look
honey
for
around. It'll be great.
Not literally.
I mean, could.
Yeah, have you seen the size of the dragonflies, though?
Yep.
That might cause trouble if we're trying to catch them.
It depends on how we're doing it. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I feel like I had a good question and it's gone. Wait, maybe. So you know that Evangeline is in trouble, right, Eliwick?
Sorry, say that again. I've been having a problem
you know that
with my
Evangeline
headphones,
is in
and
trouble.
they keep cutting out. 1 second.
Ah.
My cord is going bad between the audio interface and the headphones. Okay, somebody say something.
Something.
Hello?
Okay.
Can you hear
Okay,
me?
I can hear you now. You cut out for a minute. I know you were talking, Dan.
Yes. I said something like, Eliwick, you know that Evangeline is in trouble, right?
I do.
Okay. Do you have any idea how much time we have to work with?
Again, she looks at you, Cantriel. That's the thing about the Feywild.
Oh, of course it is.
Time.
It's not a direct line.
It's not a direct line, and it's not
Time flies
constant.
like a banana. Got it.
Whimsical.
So go fast, take our time. Doesn't really matter. Whatever's going
Like
to
I
happen is
said.
going to happen.
While you are here at the carnival, you can, if you choose, take your time and enjoy yourselves. But keep an eye out for opportunities as they may present themselves.
Right. Okay. So what I'm thinking is maybe if we help kind of make things happier around the carnival, maybe that'll get us in good with Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, since, it's their carnival and they care about it.
That sounds
Maybe
like
they're hiring.
an incredible thing to do.
All right.
Helping is always a good option. And to answer your question earlier, because the DM was totally not vamping while he looked up the name. The name 100% left my brain, and I had to look it up. When you get an opportunity to meet with Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, the former owner of the WitchLight Carnival was an Eladrin by the name of Isolda.
Oh!
And Mr. Witch, Mr. Light, and Isolda made their pact on the condition that ownership would revert back to each of the former owners should the two carnivals meet again, expressly at the wishes of Evangeline.
Oh, interesting. So she was involved in that deal they made.
Exactly.
She's done a lot of stuff.
For a ship, she gets around.
That is very funny, John.
I was reaching for my button.
I have my moments.
You were reaching for what?
His button.
His button.
Or my mute button. 'Cause I was going to say the exact same thing.
Unless you have any other pressing questions.
Not really.
I have things to do, but I will be around, and I will always be keeping an eye and an ear on the adventures of the Dawnbringers.
Well, that's kind of cool. It was really nice to meet you. Enjoy the rest of your time here at the carnival, I guess.
You too.
I'll do my best. Honestly, this is the best time I've had in, well, kind of as long as I can remember.
And she stands up and she swings her instrument back around to her back, and she kind of looks and smiles at all of you, and as she goes to leave, she kind of just gently places her hand on your shoulder to kind of pull you a step or two to the side, Cantriel. And she just looks at you and she says, keep an eye on them. They look up to you. And I know that you are going back to a place you have not been in a very long time.
You're not exactly one sought after.
Well, sometimes we have to go home to find the things that we are missing.
Okay.
So when Eliwick says keep an eye on them, in the background, Drown and Talmud are trying to steal honeypots and make their way toward the dragonflies.
And she kind of
stacks of them.
She just kind of gives you, just kind of looks at everybody and just smiles brightly as she looks at all of you. And she kind of turns you a little bit and points you towards Talmud, Cantriel, and says, try not to let him eat his weight in sweets every day.
Who merit it?
I'll try. I make no promises.
As you say that and turn to her, saying, I make no promises, she's not there. She's gone. So
Yep, I'm back home.
So what are you all going to do now? Heading towards the dragonflies, I heard at least a couple people are.
Mm-hmm.
Which, let's see.
I think Fig is getting stuck in like the honey that's been like dropping off of all of the containers that Drown and Thorgarn are carrying with them. He's just like getting stuck in it every time he tries to walk forward.
Oh, Fig.
Cantriel will kind of like alley up and like use the edge of her skirt to clean off the stickiness.
That's probably gonna be a little tricky if you let it get sticky.
Fig just nods and looks around at his little bucket that he has, places Mr. Witch back into his little bucket.
Do you want to keep tootling along on your own, or do you want me to keep you up and above the trails?
Fig kind of like holds on, because Fig is like, I imagine he's just like a little toy. Like he's so small. He just kind of like holds on to you and looks down at the offending honey.
Right, carry it is.
So Cantriel will take like she's got like this massive sash of a bow around her dress, but she'll untie it and kind of turn it into a sling so that Fig can sit comfortably and she can have her hands free. But there's an obnoxious bow like sitting between the two of them now.
Talmud is like waddling kind of behind everyone, and he's kind of wrenching his back, and he reaches under his tunic and he kind of like he pulls out what is now this enormous popcorn kernel that never had popped, and it's just covered with like these enormous grains of salt and things from where he had been small inside of Fig's bag.
Where did you find that?
It was in me tunic.
Oh, that's not diamonds then.
She'll point to the salt crystals.
Nope, that's salt.
He absolutely takes one of the giant things of salt and crunches on it.
Unicorns may like
lake.
that.
Hey, there you go.
Hang on to 'em. Could be handy. Colonel, not so much, unless you throw it at someone. Or pop it. Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Talmud is immediately going to start looking for some kind of source of heat. I want to see this thing explode.
Of course you do.
Hey, we got to get it to good trouble, right? Happy trouble.
So you make your way around outside of the orchard where you were up here, and kind of just outside into the kind of turn to the left a little bit, and you see where when Thorgarn mentioned paper earlier and Northwind was walking by, you see Northwind sitting outside the small gate, and it's along the water's edge, and you just see huge lily pads resting on the surface of this pool that's glistening with this phosphorescent algae. Giant lily pads, giant dragonflies are using the lily pads as landing platforms. And you just hear this as these giant dragonflies buzz loudly overhead, and their wings, at this size, their wings look like stained glass windows, just refracting light every which way. And then you'll see one will land, alighting briefly, and carnival goers will hop off, and some more will hop on. They take off flying over the water. Northwind with Red peering out from inside the leafy canopy just looks over at all of you approaching. Whoa, hey there, everybody. Enjoying your time here at the carnival?
Hi, Northwind. Yeah, this is great for the most part. These dragonflies look like a lot of fun. Can we ride?
They are totally awesome. Kind of wish I could ride them. I'm a little bit big for them. We tried once with two. It's going to stand on one, stand on the other one. Red here did not like that one bit. We fell into the water. It was glorious. But anyway, yes. Do you have punch spots left on your tickets? It's one punch for a dragonfly ride.
How many punch spots do we have total?
You have a total of 8.
Oh, yeah, we're good then.
Some of you are at different levels depending on what you've done. Will everybody be riding dragonflies?
Oh,
Yes.
everybody who wants to.
Well, definitely this somebody.
And Red
is
kind of
like-
disappears into the canopy for a moment and then pops out with a little ticket punch and just kind of for you to hold. Northwind bends down so that Red can reach as you hold your tickets out and just punching each of your tickets.
Oh, on the way over here, Jake, Drown will have taken sleeping Rollo gently off of his shoulder and tucked her into a pouch at his belt, which is the bag of tricks. So she's nestled in this little bed of soft puffballs.
Okay.
I love a bag of tricks.
Yeah.
This was on the way over here.
On the way over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders. Will you all be riding solo, or do you want
The
to
solo
double
one
up?
stays with me.
All right, the 2 of you are on one dragonfly. The rest of you riding solo?
Yeah, however we want to do.
Sure.
Anybody want your own dragonfly or want to double up?
Yeah, Talmud will take his own.
All right. So you see as Northwind makes a couple gestures, and then first dragonfly drops down, and Cantriel, you and Fig are able to clamber up onto this dragonfly, and you just get settled in, and they take off. And they begin to, the next one comes in and picks up Drown, and then another Thorgarn and Talmud. And after a few moments, there's several of these. There's 8 total dragonflies, some with other riders. But your 4 dragonflies are dipping and rising and flying around in lazy figure 8s around this pond. They seem to know where they're going and what they're doing, but anybody who wants to can attempt to try to take control of your dragonfly if you want to try to steer it.
So I would like to try to feed some of the honey pot that we brought, whichever I was carrying. I'm going to try to feed that to the dragonfly to try to see if I can't make it my friend.
Okay.
A sugar rush.
Go ahead and make a persuasion check with advantage.
Ooh.
I'm
Okay.
getting flashbacks of Honey Heist.
Let's see. Persuasion. Oh. Let's see. Oh, that's a nat 20 for a 22
Oh.
total.
Oh, nice.
So you I just pictured, Talmud, that as you're realizing this thing's kind of flying on its own, you don't have to worry about steering it. So you just kind of keep scooching forward. You know that thing where kids kind of move forward by sort of shuffling their butt and shifting their whole body? You're totally doing that, shifting forward with this honeypot until you get close enough you can lean down and just hold some out, and immediately the dragonfly just starts eating right from your hand, just starts eating this honey, and is absolutely loving it. While Talmud is doing that, Thorgarn,
Yes.
you just chilling out on your
I will absolutely try to take control. I assume this is probably going to end poorly, but I think that's going to be fun.
all right, go ahead and make a wisdom animal handling check.
Animal handling. Let's try this die. That's what I was looking for. That's a 5.
Okay. Drown. We'll resolve these incidents here in a moment. Drown, what are you doing? Are you just going for the ride?
So Drown is mostly just going for the ride, but he is keeping an eye on everybody else. And if
Okay.
anybody else looks like they're going off willy-nilly on their own, he'll try and sheepdog them back together.
All right. And Cantriel and Fig, what are the two of you doing on your dragonfly?
Cantriel takes out like one of her best pencils from her satchel and like hands it right to Fig.
Here you go if you want to take some notes on this.
Fig is very excited because he gets out his little notebook and he begins to like write down, and then he pauses every so often and looks at the dragonfly and then pauses and scribbles back in. And Cantriel, if you look down, they're just like very childish, cartoony drawings of Cantriel and Fig flying in a dragonfly around everywhere, and he draws Thorgarn and Talmud and Drown all there, like in their very cartoony little smiles. But he's very serious. This is a very serious scientific study that he's doing. And so you see that there's like, at some point, I imagine there's one tiny little fig arm that stretches out and extends a little bit towards this dragonfly. And just ever so slightly is just going to try and push it to the side just to see what it does.
Okay, make an animal handling check.
Okay.
This music could not be more perfect for what's happening.
Okay. Since we have a lot of domain dice, I'm going to use one. Okay, well, that's a 9, so never mind.
All right.
So, Jake, Cantriel sees Fig doing this, and she kind of, knowing Fig, lets Fig do it. But seeing that it's not going too well, she gets herself ready to cast Animal Friendship.
Okay. Keep that on the ready.
Yeah.
Because now that I know what you all are doing, everything's going to happen at once.
Mm-hmm.
Talmud, I would like you to make an animal handling check at disadvantage, as the shock of the natural sugars and just the rush of this honey just suddenly hits this dragonfly, and you hear the wings go from to
You don't have to happen to have Flight of the Bumblebee in that.
I wish I did.
Ooh, okay. The first one's good. Oh God, that's a 1. Toss.
Oh boy. Okay. So
I mean,
things are about to get things are about to get a little wild here
is this the danger music?
as suddenly Talmud's dragonfly goes into hyperspeed mode and darts upward at the same time that Talmud, you were attempting to gain control of this dragonfly, and the way you were trying to, or Thorgarn steered wrong into Talmud's dragonfly, as the two of them suddenly collide. And because of the abundance of honey, these two dragonflies immediately get stuck in this almost inverted. So now there's extra wings going. One's going at 100 miles an hour. One's going slower. Both of these are going into this incredible sudden spiral. Drown, because you were keeping an eye on everybody, you see this happening, and you'll have a chance to react. You couldn't stop it just because of their very poor rolls. But you see as this happens, and you see that the two of them, the dragonflies, are panicking. Both dwarves are hanging on, and they're starting to go into this uneven spiral upwards. As this happens, and Fig is reaching out and attempting to control this dragonfly, turns it towards the path, and you see that you can just sense, Cantriel, this dragonfly is about to get caught up in the frenzy of what's happening. So you can cast your spell now if you wish.
Oh, definitely. Wisdom save.
All right. Let's see. That's a wisdom save. I'm going to use my new pickle dice. Green colored. Oh, my word. Well, I guess in this case, it's good for you. That's a natural 1.
Oh, excellent.
So,
You don't.
what does it do?
Cantriel just kind of places her hand alongside of its thorax, I guess, right? And kind of pats it gently.
We don't want to get into that kerfuffle, do we? Let's just keep going like, that way.
And she'll lean forward and kind of hold Fig against her closely because, doesn't want Fig falling out of the sash, and points the dragonfly, like, not completely away from everything happening, but giving it a wide berth.
So you, because of the charming effect of this spell, you're able to, I kind of imagine the way this is happening is you kind of get it to take the wider form of a figure 8. So it's giving a wide berth to all of this action, but you do so in such a way, and with it sort of moving, it seems to almost react to you, Fig. This is kind of a situation, I imagine, at least for the moment, you've just been handed the second controller that's not plugged in, so you feel like you're helping.
Oh yeah, Fig is enthralled by this. You can see that he's kind of like, you know how when kids like see an airplane and it's like moving and they like move along with it, like they're controlling it. He would like begin to like lean one way and then the other way.
Cantriel's locking her arm tighter around the sash and Fig. Yep, it's fun.
Even though Fig is not an organic being, I just picture you, Fig, in this. From the time you've been drawing the whole time, you've just got a little blep, just a little tiny tongue, just like you are so concentrating. Drown, you see the dwarves are literally spiraling out of control. What are you going to do?
Well, I think I'm going to try and zoom up next to him and see if I can't maybe pull the stuck dragonflies apart.
Okay, make a animal handling check as you attempt to take control of your own dragonfly.
Fantastic. This is great. That's a nat 20 for a 19.
Fantastic. Why is it, or how is it that you just expertly take control of this dragonfly?
Well, it's just sort of this kind of like it's just this all of a sudden this burst of sort of just seeing the goal and being very oriented on that's what has to happen now. So he just kind of grabs a hold of whatever harness the dragonfly has, leans forward a little bit, gives it a thump with his heels, and it just seems like he's maybe he's dealt with animals before somewhere and it just kind of came back to him, that sort of thing. And it's just more like confidence is sort of leading the way more than any actual skill.
So it's kind of like, for the moment you don't even think about the fact that you've never flown a dragonfly before. You just...
it's like a bighorn sheep, right?
So you just you just do it because it's what needs to be done. And you immediately and start flying up alongside, and you see as these two dragonflies with Talmud and Thorgarn on it are just you've got it's Talmud, it's Thorgarn. Talmud and Thorgarn, what are you doing as you are spiraling up ever higher out of control?
So hear me out. I just finished a cake eating contest.
Oh no.
And I am now rapidly being spun in a circle. So I think the answer, there's only really one answer in this question. And Talmud is turning into a pinwheel at this point.
This is a variation of the aftermath of the pie eating contest in Stand By Me. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do? Because believe it or not, to a certain extent, there are rules for this. As I am going to...
Oh no.
I need Drown and I need Drown to make a dexterity saving throw. And I need Thorgarn to do so with advantage, because you're kind of on the opposite side of this spiral.
That's a 17.
Okay.
Oh, with advantage, I also have a 17.
Nice.
So you avoid taking custard damage, is what we're going to call it.
That's a generous version of that, sure.
Well, believe it or not, there's actually custard damage rules for the cake eating contest, but you all did so well that didn't come into play. So I figured we'll just take hold of that for this.
Sure.
So for the moment, you've both managed to avoid the custard damage from Talmud. Thorgarn, what are you doing as you are just in this ridiculous spiral?
Well, I imagine it is taking everything he's got to remain holding on and remain not being covered in, shall we say, custard.
Okay. So I will need Drown, you managed to move in relatively close now. You've avoided as you kind of duck in with your, just again, you're expertly flying this dragonfly as custard goes spewing in a spiral arc and just. What are you going to do to try to rescue these dwarves? You said you were going to try to pull the.
Yes, I'm going to try and sort of like come over, get next to the corkscrew and see if I can grab a hold of one of, maybe get my foot on one of them and my hand on the other and just kind of pull them apart at the sticky honey patch.
Okay. Go ahead, and it's going to be at disadvantage because you're doing so while flying in a spiral upward on a dragonfly. Yep. But perfectly I'll have you valid. Make a strength athletics check. To pry the honey-coated dragonflies apart.
Let me grab another die. That one. Okay, an athletics check. Right, pretty good at those. With disadvantage, I'm going to burn a domain die on that. Oh, that is way better. Unfortunately, that nat 20 is canceled out to a 12, which gives me a total of 16.
Okay. That is good enough. What does it look like as you successfully pull these apart?
All right, so Drown comes in, and he's like ducking low to the dragonfly, trying to avoid the spiraling stream. And he's just like, nope, all right, stop. You're going to crash. Nope. Stop. Take a deep breath. And he's sort of chewing that back as he gets his foot on Talmud's saddle and grabs Thorgarn's harness and just sort of heaves them apart.
And there's just this.
You heave them apart?
Right.
Heaves them apart.
You sure?
And there's just this as they
throws one down and throws the other one up. Is that what you're saying?
Just apart. I have no idea which way is up, down, left, or right now. It's
Thorgarn.
Hopefully the dragonflies.
I have a hard enough time making sure I get your names right now, but the two of you with your names, Talgarn and Thormud. So Thorgarn, as Drown separates these two, Drown, go ahead and make me another animal handling check real quick. And
oh god.
Actually, I'm going to have all three of you do animal handling, as this is going to inform how this plays out.
Oh, the dice are still with me. That gives me a total of 14.
I'm still going with the comedy angle here, so that's 6.
Okay. And
just doing a straight roll?
Yep.
Let's see. With my -1, that's a 16.
Okay, so you got, was it a 14 Drown?
Yes, 14 for Drown.
Okay. So Drown and Talmud, you two are fine. As you pull these two apart, Drown, you watch as Talmud's dragonfly is still hyperactive and just, and Talmud is just hanging. You don't know if he's hanging on or if he's just stuck to this dragonfly. But
either way,
you glance over and you see that Talmud or Thorgarn's dragonfly is and just hovers for a moment, and as it sort of does this, stopping at the pinnacle of its climb and falls back, you see as it falls back, Thorgarn's over here.
Oh no.
Thorgarn did not hold on at all. Thorgarn is now in free fall.
Cantriel can see this, right?
Yes. You are observing from where you are.
Fake, do you want to do this or should I?
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna cast either one of us feather
fall. We both have feather fall, so that's why it's like Cantriel's like pointing like, I can do it, but if you want to.
All right.
No, I think Fig is so enthralled by the the dragonfly. He has to focus on steering it. That's his very important job.
Okay, so while Fig's focusing on steering the dragonfly, Cantriel pulls the billows from out of her satchel and she pushes them together so there's this big puff, and as this puffs out, there's like this glitter confetti that goes out of it, but it makes this beeline towards Thorgarn, and she'll cast Featherfall using the billows.
Nice.
And you see this like almost cartoon animated wind just come in and sort of swirl around Thorgarn's legs, and I'm going to say, just because of how spectacularly you failed these animal handling checks, the wind catches you and holds you in this featherfall upside down.
Excellent.
As you are upside down, just sort of slow motion. I almost picture cartoon-wise, your arms and legs just going for a moment, and then you see Drown, this magical. The camera kind of shifts and you can see Cantriel with the billows and that she's got this in hand. What the heck is going on? My mic's falling over. Talmud is spinning out of control on his dragonfly.
Dang it.
But the two of them are no longer stuck together, so that should make this a little easier. What are you going to do?
How far away is Talmud? Does it look like I can still reach him, or?
He's far enough away because this thing is essentially dashing. Make an animal handling check, and I'm going to raise the DC by a couple points. It's instead of a 12, it's a 14.
Okay. I'll try a domain die. No, that's going to be a 9.
It's like all of a sudden you realize you don't know how to fly a dragonfly to this degree.
What the hell am I doing?
Like you just suddenly realized you're like 60 feet in the air on a dragonfly.
Just gonna settle back down onto it real carefully.
Talmud, you're on your own. And your dragonfly is spiraling upward, but starting to take a bit of an arc. What are you going to do, Talmud? What would you like to do?
So, I think with everything that's going on, this thing just seems like it's just going to keep spiraling up and up and up.
It does seem to be taking a slight arc, like it's not moving up as much anymore. It might be moving like it's going to angle over towards above the carnival proper.
Okay. In that case, he's going to try to see if he can't get it under control.
Okay.
For the time being.
Go ahead and make an animal handling check. That is going to be at disadvantage because it's frenzied.
Disadvantage. Okay. That's an 11.
For a moment, it looks like you have control of this thing. As it sort of, as it was arcing, it was starting to tilt you upside down, and then you try reining in control, and it goes boom, and flips over. It is no longer moving at hyperspeed, and Drown, I think you can kind of see this. I just imagine classic like sci-fi, that crash zoom camera. Kind of focusing in on Talmud and the dragonfly, and you see that the speed is reduced, but if they keep going, this thing is just, who knows where it's going to go.
And Talmud has that kind of nasty taste left in his mouth, and he's going to kind of look down in his hand where he still has it just completely coated with honey, because he was just feeding it to the dragonfly just a moment ago, and he kind of like reaches down and pulls out a couple of like giant dragonfly hairs, and then just kind of like sucks on his fingers.
Also, Cantriel and Fig, he's well within your sight as well. And Thorgarn, for that matter. I mean, you're feather falling to the ground rapidly. So anybody can attempt to do something to save Talmud at this point. You're all
Yeah, I
far
think
enough. You're all far enough apart, with the exception of Fig and Cantriel, that you're acting independently. I'll say that.
I think at this point, Fig maybe finally just like does like a double take from his dragonfly and sees that Talmud is not doing so well, and so he reaches into his little popcorn bucket that he has and is going to pull out. This popcorn bucket looks a little deeper than it should be, and if you're okay with it, this is going to be his hat.
Sure.
Gonna be the
I saw exactly where you were going with this.
Okay.
The popcorn bucket of holding. I'm all for it.
Yeah. And he's going to pull out these spring, and it looks very big as he like continues to pull it out like more and more, this huge spring, and he's just going to chuck it at Talmud and cast Featherfall as the spring kind of slowly wraps around you. As if you begin to fall, you'll just kind of spring up from the ground.
I see it leaving as you pull it out and throw it. It almost kind of moves like a slinky through the air, and then just Talmud, against your will, you just see this giant spring kind of coil around the lower half of your body, and as it does so, the dragonfly pulls away, and once free of you and starts to calm down, you see it start to circle above as you are dropping down towards the ground, and until you come bouncing to a stop not far from the entrance. The rest of your dragonflies all sort of like Northwind is summoning them all in, as these dragonflies all sort of settle in on lily pads and around the entrance. And as the last of you come in, you see all around this entrance, and fairly close to where you are, Talmud and Thorgarn, where you've just touched down on the ground. And we kind of see, I imagine, from Drown, your point of view, kind of like Harry coming in on the hippogriff. We see the cameras with you as you come in, and you see dozens and dozens of people are gathered around watching this spectacle. And as the last of you touches down, everybody erupts in cheers, and you see off in the distance as fireworks start firing off. And
as Drown lands, he'll kind of throw his hand in the air and whoop this sort of almost like a line of a giant language song, and cast dancing lights, so they kind of flare all around us.
Yeah, when Talmud finally bounces to a stop, he kind of stops for a second to make sure that he's all right, and then he throws his arms in the air, and he just kind of like belches and then says,
Ta-da!
And that's where we're going to take our break. And
awesome.
As you may or may not have noticed, you have just increased the mood of the carnival by another step. And another hour has gone by with all of the events. We'll see what's going on when we return in just about 10 minutes. So thank you, everybody who's joined us so far. Please stick around. We'll be back in just a few minutes. And we're back. All right. You have just had a rather peculiar incident. Some of you are a little worse the wear for it. As you all land and the crowd begins cheering and the fireworks go off, Northwind, kind of comes striding over to where all of you are, and especially to you, Talmud and Thorgarn. Oh, man, that was absolutely wild. Are you all right?
Is that how the ride's supposed to go?
Did you enjoy it?
I mean, all except for the, God, I can't talk. All except for falling slowly and landing on my head.
Thorgarn just went all Porky Pig. Yeah, that's totally part of the experience. It's very immersive. You look a little queasy there, little dude. Are you feeling all right? He's looking at you, Talmud.
Might have gotten a little sick.
Right, beauty of magical water. It's easily cleansed. No worries, no harm, no foul.
Good. I'm pretty sure some of it landed on the fun house.
Well, that'll keep things interesting over there for sure. Well, I feel pretty certain you got your ticket punch worth over here. Did y'all see the fireworks?
Yep, that was awesome.
That's a cue that the Big Top Extravaganza is about to get underway. If you're interested, you could head over to the Big Top. There's going to be shows. Mr. Witch and Mr. Light are going to be introducing all their performers. And you might even get a chance to perform yourself, kind of an amateur open mic night thing. And the whole time he's talking with his wide branches as arms with Red the Squirrel running back and forth across them, he is slowly just sort of ushering you as far away from the Dragonfly ride as he can. All right, well, it was an absolute pleasure, and I hope you enjoyed the Dragonfly ride and have absolutely no reason to want to experience it again. What are you all going to do?
Fair.
Message received. We got it.
So what would you all like to do?
So, is he saying we can't ride it again because we did it perfectly?
Yep. That's pretty much it.
Cool.
The bar is set for the next group.
I'm starving.
Yeah, that checks out. Do they have anything that's not just start to finish sugar?
Talmud, you hear nearby, as you're all walking away and you say you're hungry, you hear, "Did I hear somebody say that they were hungry? We've got brand new savory flavored snow cones," as you see two familiar looking gnomes with an entirely new snow cone stand set up near you.
Oh, ham cones.
Yes, we've got ham, we've got popcorn, we've got corn dogs.
They're all snow cones?
They're all snow cones. We've got salted tomatoes, salted watermelon. We've got sea salt and caramel flavor. We've got, well, if you can think of it, we've got it.
That is super weird. I have to have one.
In only snow cone, but flavored however we want.
Yes. The flavor delivery system is a snow cone.
Okay, I'll take a bacon.
Yep, give me a ham cone. Let's do this. Honey baked.
They immediately start honey baked ham. All right, and they just start putting together. It does not matter. Well, actually, okay. So we got bacon. We've got honey baked ham. Talmud, do you want one?
Absolutely. I'm just trying to think of a different flavor.
Peppered sausage.
Pot roast.
I've got it.
Do you have buttered pretzel?
Ooh.
Not only do we have buttered pretzel, we've got buttered pretzel with mustard, buttered pretzel with hot sauce. We've got buttered pretzel with extra butter, with extra salt, with extra pretzel.
Yes. To all of it.
Buttered pretzel with the works. Absolutely.
You're
Got
gonna
it.
barf again.
Likely.
All right, fair enough.
Anybody else? What about you, little fellow? Looking at Fig.
I imagine Fig's just like peering up over, like I don't know why I keep picturing a baby Bjorn, but I do. So he's like kind of peering over like the little harness. And he points he'd point to whatever like tool or something that the gnome is holding in a hurried, like trying to get things ready. He would just kind of point to it and look challengingly.
He kind of stops, and he's got what he's holding is, if it's possible to over-engineer an ice cream scoop, this gnome has done it. There are flashing lights, there's wires, there's battery for some reason.
Spinning counterweights.
Yeah, there's like a cuckoo clock with those things that look like pine cones, the little counterweight chains. It's got those. It's as he goes to scoop it, he has to go. It's got a little bit of a diesel engine.
Gyro stabilized internal combustion ice cream scoop.
I think I know what you're all about. I gotcha. And begins scooping one. What about you, Cantriel?
I'm off food right now, thank you.
All right. Well, your loss. Every one of
Oh,
you.
it's preventing loss, trust me.
Every one of you, regardless of the flavor you asked for, are given a yellow snow cone. As you are handed your yellow snow cone, I would like each of you to roll a d8.
3.
7.
Drown.
I also got a 3.
And Talmud, as you two are handed your buttered pretzel with the works and honey baked ham pretzels, you are both told, whenever somebody says your name, you have to do a little dance.
Oh crap, that's right. You don't take money. You take. All right, fine. Ugh.
What did you get, Thorgarn?
7.
You must compliment everyone you meet as he hands you your bacon-flavored snow cone. This one was a little easier than you might have thought. Fig, as he hands you yours, what did you roll?
6.
You must treat all trees with respect and reverence. Fig, what does...
It does a little salute to the to the gnome.
Everybody, if do you eat your snow cones? I guess would be the first
Yes.
question.
Hell yes.
It
Immediately.
absolutely tastes like the flavor you asked for,
This is
but
wild.
cold.
It's cold. It feels like snow, but it tastes like a fresh baked ham. Like it's cold, but it somehow tastes hot. I don't get it.
Yeah, this is rather confusing. Like this, like bacon is supposed to be, crisp and warm, and this is cold and soft, and yet it still is bacon.
And Talmud is in a world by himself with his snow cone. It's just like the two of them. It's slow paced. There's, like romance music playing in the background. It's just the two of them in a world of their own for him right now.
Imagine Fig looks at his and again remembers for the second time that he can't eat it, but he looks at it and I imagine maybe we're all kind of huddled together in like a little circle. He kind of holds it up to Drown to try.
You want me to try your wrench flavored snow cone?
Big nod.
Great. Cool. Yeah, sure. He'll grab it and...
What does it taste like?
That tastes like steel and oil. And it tastes like how it smells every time he pulls that cord. Here you go.
With the addition, because these are savory,
it's also salty.
You maybe don't want to know why it has a salty flavor. I'll just leave it at that.
He discontentedly puts it into his popcorn bowl.
Don't even eat it. You just put it into the popcorn bowl of holding.
Well, that was an experience. Right. Where now?
So
where to now? What's next?
Are you all heading to the big top, or do you want to go elsewhere in the carnival?
Oh, right. Were the fireworks kind of like signaling to the big top?
Yeah, and you see there's throngs of people that are sort of, not everybody, but a lot of people are lining up and they're getting their tickets punched as they head into the big top.
And Talmud, like very excitedly, is kind of like going to the rest of the people now that he's finished with his snow cone already.
He said that Witch and Light would both be there. That's where we need to be.
Yep. Let's head that away.
So on the way, Thorgarn's trailing behind as, every person that, he walks by is like, oh, nice shoes. That's a nice jacket. Oh, I love the way you've done your hair today. One by one. As everybody else is kind of moving towards the tent. He's like trying to get through all of the compliments before he finally catches up to everybody.
All right. Let's see here. All right. So you get your tickets punched as you file in through the entrance, and you see inside this big tent, people are everywhere lining bleachers, and there's a big center ring in the center. And as you all go in and take your seats, there's murmuring. There are four mere pennies, mere coppers. There are small bags of peanuts and popcorn being distributed by people carrying these big boxes that seem to never run out. There's also little paper cones with clouds of brightly colored sponge sugar in a variety of flavored cotton candy. So there's an abundance of food. I picture Talmud is whatever there is that's available to eat, Talmud has in his lap. It's just he's juggling these things with two of everything. And after a few moments, the lights dim in here, and all the murmuring sort of gets quiet, and then a bright spotlight shines down in the middle of the tent, and you see a very lithe figure, an elven man sitting in a silver hoop, and he's suspended. It almost looks like he's floating in the air, and it's just gently spinning around. He wears a dazzling suit of diamond pane mirrors and a pair of butterfly wings, and he holds a scepter that has a spinning vane on top of it. Welcome, one and all, to this evening's extravaganza. I am Mr. Light. Prepare to be delighted. And as he spins around, he rises up into the shadow, and you see a very large, muscular bugbear wearing bib overalls and with a jack-o'-lantern over top of his head come out into the middle of the ring, and he starts striking these Atlas poses, showing off his muscles. As he's doing this, a number of clowns come running in, and they're bringing in a variety of implements and props, all things of various heaviness. Thorgarn, what is something extremely heavy that you would think somebody would have difficulty lifting?
An oversized anvil.
There is a brightly colored cloth in the middle, and this bugbear kind of moves over to it, and as he does so, several clowns come moving around, and they do a little dance around this cloth, and then they grab hold of the cloth, and butterflies just go everywhere, flying around. And there is an anvil that is about 10 times the size of the anvil you normally would use when you're crafting things. And this bugbear moves around to one side, kind of leans and looks at it, moves around to the other, leans and look at it. And every time he starts to reach in for it, all around you, the crowd starts going, and then he pulls away, and then he does it a couple more times. And then he just wraps his arms around the anvil and picks it up off the ground and walks about 10 feet across. And he doesn't just drop it, he just and sets it down in a different place. He moves over to where Fig, what's the next thing that is a feat of strength?
Some type of large animal. Probably. They're those elephant people, right?
Loxodons.
Loxodon? Yeah. Just a loxodon.
Okay. There's another cloth that is covered up, and as the clowns come out and they move the cloth, I saw that. The cloth moves away, and this time flower petals spill out around, and immediately as the flower petals, this cloud of them collapse, you see a figure begin pirouetting around and around and around and around as you see the ruffles of their ballerina leotard and ballerina skirt. They are up on tiptoes, and as they stop spinning and stand poised up on one foot with one leg raised, you see a nearly 8-foot tall Loxodon elephant folk standing there, and they've got their hands up like this, and the bugbear moves over to them, and they start to spin on that 1 foot in place as the bugbear starts spinning them, and leans down and puts his hand underneath the Loxodon, and then slowly lifts them up all the way until he's holding them in the air up, and they never stop spinning the entire time. And then he lets go, and they're still spinning in the air. And you watch as the silver ring descends with the ballerina holding on to it as they drop. And people scream and cheer all around. Cantriel, what's the next thing that this individual is going to show off their strength with?
It's this massive crate that is full of equipment that she caught sight of just behind the curtain. And it's filled with little trinkets and probably all the other weights that he leads up to that have just been stashed into the same thing. So it's almost like, carry all home gym crate.
Okay. You see as he moves over to this crate that it literally does look like it's just the prop master has set this aside. And he reaches in and he pulls out a kettlebell that seems small in his hands. And he looks at it and he holds it up and the crowd just goes, no! And he shakes his head and he reaches in and he pulls out a big set of Olympic dumbbell or barbell and lifts it up as if it's just a lightweight dumbbell, and the crowd goes, no, and he shakes his head. And he pulls a couple more of these heavy things out of this crate. And then he just goes, crouches down, and just lifts in one smooth move the whole thing up over his head. And the crowd just goes wild. And as he's walking around holding this, you see as his arms start to shake, and it looks like he's struggling with it. And then you realize he's not struggling with it. He's pulling on the sides of it. And he goes, as he rips the box apart, and instead of all these heavy weights falling down, you see a cascade of brilliantly colored butterflies flutter into the crowd. They begin flying around you. And there's enough butterflies that everybody has a colorful butterfly that alights on them. And by the time the butterflies are done, you see as this bugbear is no longer in the middle. Instead, there's a single light illuminating the very large aquarium-like bowl with elegant gold and silver trim, and you see a figure swimming around inside. And then she rises up and leaps into the air, and as she does so, it's like the light catches her in just a way as she blows a kiss off to the sidelines, where a certain grayscale looking mime is standing absolutely with adoration watching her. She dives into the water, and the entire bowl itself acts like an amplifier and a speaker as she begins to sing this most beautiful operatic singing that fills the entire chamber. And you see all around you, people are smiling broadly, people are swaying with the music, people are weeping openly at this amazing display of music. After she's done with her song, you see as several fairy dragons begin trailing bright colored streamers on their tails, and they begin flying around in the center of this ring and flying these intricate patterns. And every time they do so, these brightly colored ribbons are forming into images, as there are just so many of them and they're moving so quickly. And you realize after a moment that some of the images are showing scenes from the fair, the carnival, and then you see individuals. You see a halfling woman, you see a dwarven man, you see what looks like is it ripples across this canvas of streamers, what looks like a spinning dragonfly and a familiar looking dwarf falling from the sky as they show Talmud's antics. And then you see an image that it looks like like just this little flip book animation of a very tiny, almost looks like a toy robot with little arms and hands, as a little fig represented like on the big screen is just tottering around holding a little popcorn bowl. And the animation, the loop looks like they're just going eating popcorn out of the thing continuously. And the whole audience is like, oh, and a few people near you, Fig, are like, hey, it's him. This continues on. Acrobats and clowns and fire breathers and just all of this stuff happening. And this goes on for close to an hour before the ring descends again. And wearing the diamond mirror bedazzled costume, Mr. Light descends and looks out into the audience and says, "And now you have been entertained. But you now have the chance to entertain. Would anybody like to perform their own act for our audience today? Anyone at all?" And no matter where he points, he seems to be pointing at you. Would any of you like to perform in this moment? Talmud is hiding behind cotton candy.
Oh.
Inspired by, not only am I supposed to be like, happy and upbeat being in the carnival, that being the price of me being here. Thorgarn's going to go make a fool of himself, and he's going to attempt to juggle hammers.
Okay.
With his -1 dexterity and no proficiency in performance.
All right, we have a taker. The young dwarven lad here would like to perform. Come on down, son. And as you come in close to this very tall, light-looking elven man, he seems to almost fold in half to crouch down towards you, and he holds his staff, his scepter towards you. What will you be doing for us tonight?
So I start putting out my little thrown hammers. Well, haven't really done much practice with this, but since you were so kind as to help entertain us, I will attempt to juggle these hammers. I've got 3 throwing hammers out in front of me.
We are all behind you. As he suddenly goes like this, he takes a huge step back and he places a construction hard hat on his head and takes a huge step backwards. The floor is all yours.
So, first thing I do is I'll kind of, mutter a quick prayer and put out a sacred flame in front of me just to kind of light the show. And while that's kind of drawing everyone's eye, I will cast guidance and then I will give this a shot.
I would like you to first... make a dexterity acrobatics check. Acrobatics check. To see how well you handle these hammers.
Do I have my guidance?
Yeah, you have your guidance.
Holy crap. So I got a 17 on the die. So that makes it a 16 plus 2 from guidance. It's an 18.
Now roll a performance check with advantage.
So we're going to try these 2. Don't have performance, have no bonus in charisma. Let's hope for some good luck. And damn, that's a 19.
What does this? How do you pull this off? How do you perform this incredible act? What does it look like? It's your act.
So he's familiar enough with the hammers, and I imagine even like the little thrown hammers are nerfized. They're soft and squishy and what have you. So the absolute fear of adulthood, of making a fool of myself and what have you, is gone. It's not there. It's I was thoroughly entertained today, and now I'm going to step up here and do something for everybody else. And everything, every throw, every catch just happens to go perfectly. You manage to, you reach out, you catch one, but you keep it moving, keep it tossing. After a handful of catches go, I imagine like he'll reach under his leg and catch one, and when that manages to actually work, absolute surprises on his face. He even tries to do a spin and catches the last one, behind his back.
And there's this moment as you catch that last one where you're standing there, maybe a little out of breath, and it's dead silent. And then the entire Big Top erupts in cheers and applause for you, Thorgarn, as you have successfully entertained the audience.
Woot!
Would anybody else like to perform?
So Cantriel will raise her hand, like she kind of does like the stuttering, and then finally goes like this and
Don't
waggles
be
her
shy.
fingers.
Don't be shy. Come on down and share with us your talents. What would you
Okay.
like to do?
I have a story to tell in song.
Very well. The floor is yours. And he bows deeply and takes a step back.
Then she'll curtsy and kind of like hold Fig as she does so to make sure Fig doesn't topple out. And then she'll pull out her dulcimer and she actually hands Fig like a little like tambourine like drum.
Okay, you can help me keep the beat, and I'll do the rest.
And I'm gonna have to take my earbud out because I can't do this with the other song tuning in my ear.
Oh.
So Cantriel will go through and she sings
I'm gonna
the
turn that
Dawnbringers
music
song
off.
that she's sung before. And then as she starts getting towards the end of the verses that everyone knows, she goes to a new verse. And so we have brought forth a brand new dawn, a dawn to warm these shores, defeated the chill of the winter nights, and welcome back the sun. The frost maiden thought that we would be turned away from our cause, but it was she who faced defeat, and the days are bright and long. But the adventure, it will still go on to find our friends and crew. May Timora be the one to be on our side as we carry through. And she'll do like this embellishment with the dulcimer, and I can imagine like Fig is like to wrap it up.
I think Hermes is sitting on the side of the drum, like kicking to the beat too.
Like the duck videos with the drum.
Exactly. I will let you roll with advantage since Fig is helping you.
Okay.
And you are going to roll a performance check.
Okay.
You didn't hear me because you took your earbud out, but I turned the music off while you were performing.
Yeah, no, I had
because-
already taken it out. That and like trying to sing like a little kid, that was a fun new addition. Okay, so that's a 22.
You, even before you finish, you see that Mr. Light is standing there, and you see the spotlight catches. At first, it looks like one of the mirrors on his costume, but you see it the light catching a tear on his cheek as he's smiling broadly and holding his scepter and just watching you in awe. And as you finish, he takes he kind of steps behind you and gestures broadly as if presenting you to the audience. And of course, the audience is going absolutely wild as they are so entertained by your song. Drown or Talmud, would either of you like to do anything? You don't have to. I'm just offering.
So you said Talmud was like hiding behind popcorn or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Trying to look as small as he can.
Drown will lean over, kind of grab the popcorn bucket and say, I can see it in your eyes. Get out there. There's something in you that wants to come out.
He kind of like looks to Drown.
Gone.
Nods. He stands up and kind of
I'll,
reaches.
I will give him a bardic inspiration.
Oh, hell yes. Perfect. So yeah, Talmud stands up and he reaches into, I guess we still have our bags, into his backpack, and he pulls out this cape, this red cape that looks like it's made out of an old bed sheet. And in the center of the back, there is this, like, it looks like gold puff paint that has been drawn on here, and it's a giant T and has like crossed like lightning bolt and maul behind it on the back of this cape. And then he pulls out a similarly looking made red cloth, gold puff paint, like almost luchador style mask, and puts it on. And this cape has this huge collar on it. And he kind of, and he approaches Mr. Light.
Well, 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 what do we have here? What will you be doing to entertain this crowd tonight, young man?
He kind of like motions for him to come closer.
Again, almost having to fold himself down.
Yeah, like at the waist. He leans up and whispers in his ear. And what he's going to ask him for is a massive roaring fire, and above it, a platform as high as he can give it.
Do you want to be on the platform?
Yes.
In fact, he would ask you that. Would you like to be on the platform? Do you want the fire down here?
A big one. Huge.
I've got just the thing for you. Come here. And he kind of motions, and you hear the audience is kind of a little, what's going on? Is there...
Talmud's definitely kind of nervously looking around.
And Mr. Light motions you to a spot, and he kind of looks around, and then he moves you just a little bit over to the side. Yes, this will do nicely. Stand perfectly still. And he takes a big step backwards. Hold. And he looks at the audience and he holds his hands up and everybody gets quiet. And then he goes like this. And everybody kind of following suit. Everybody just goes, oh, and underneath you, a platform appears. And Talmud, you go shooting up all the way up into the center of this big top until everybody looks tiny down below. Mr. Light looks around, looks up at you. You're right up there!
Ow!
And now for the fire. And he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a pipe and puts it in his mouth, and then he reaches into another pocket and pulls out a book of matches, lights the match, and goes, smoking is bad for my health. And he throws the match off to the side, and it just sort of slow motion tumbles through the air and hits a seemingly random spot below you, Talmud, and a pillar of fire erupts upwards. And he takes a few more steps backwards as the whole crowd just kind of goes, whoa! And he shouts up at you, the floor is all yours. And then he turns to these clowns nearby, and he says, Fire Brigade, on standby, and several clowns in clownish firemen's outfits come out, and they've all got seltzer bottles. What are you going to do?
So I imagine there's like this pan up of like this extreme conical shape of like the center of the tent where like the stripes have all been like stretched way, way, way beyond their normal shape. And there's Talmud in this luchador style mask and this red cape. And he kind of just takes a deep breath, kind of looks down, and he leaps off of this platform and aims straight for the fire.
The whole crowd just... Okay. What are you doing?
And just before he hits the top of the flames, he is going to activate his Cape of the Montebank and make it basically teleport him outside above a, like several bales of hay that they're feeding some of like the show animals and stuff, just right on top of it. And after a few moments, he's going to enter from, the opening on the side of the tent and run back out into the ring and throw his hands up high again and disclaim.
So that's how you imagine this going. Roll a performance check.
Wonderful. All right, let's see.
And remember, you have a D6 you can throw on it.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to burn a domain dice. That's a 1.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to go in that.
We
bad.
just got one from a raid, so there you go.
Woo! Thank you, Raiders. With a +2. You said it's a D6?
Correct.
Yes, D6.
Okay. It's not bad. Let me see. Performance. 19.
All right. So as you dive in towards the fire, it, for all intents and purposes, and this goes for the rest of you Dawnbringers, Cantriel, what's your current passive perception in your current form? I take it it's not as high.
12.
Okay, so even Cantriel believes you just went into the fire. So, for the moment, we see from your viewpoint as you dive off this giant tower and you look like you right into the fire. And then we cut to all of the rest of the Dawnbringers in the crowd. Dawnbringers, what do you do when you see Talmud leap off this tower into the fire?
Drown sort of coughs on some popcorn and jumps up to his feet.
You can hear Fig like rattling, like you can hear the cogs and the metal just.
It's like little tiny
As he,
cogs
like,
and bolts
closes
just
his
like
eyes.
sweating off of him.
Yeah.
Cantriel's like holding Fig close, almost like a teddy bear now.
Peering out from behind Fig's head.
You're
Talmud, what are you doing? Or Thorgarn, what are you doing? Damn it. You're muted?
I would jump to my feet and I would be like, trying to get to the fire. I mean, I imagine he's in there burning.
We cut to outside the tent where there's a flurry of feathers and hay as several chickens go flying, and there is all this straw, and then there's just a you look up, Talmud, and you see that there is a donkey just chewing away at some hay that kind of just looks at you with barely a reaction. You gather yourself and you go running in through the side entrance of the tent. And you throw your arms up. And you all see as Talmud comes running in and throws his arms up. And then everybody starts cheering as Mr. Light goes, and there he is, perfectly unharmed. And he kind of looks off to the side and goes, whew. And Talmud, because your Cape of the Mont Blanc, one of its properties is there's a little bit of a smell of brimstone and this sort of smoke. you are suddenly doused as 6 clowns try to put you out with seltzer water, which makes the crowd cheer even more. And you have all collectively managed to raise the mood of the carnival by 3 levels. The crowd begins to leave the big top, and people are walking by all of you that performed, and they are clapping you on the back and shaking your hands and telling you great job. A variety of people are complimenting you on the song and how lovely it was. And they are just so pleased that you could be here. And oh my gosh, I thought you were a gunner for sure.
Anyone that gives Thorgarn a compliment gets one back in return.
So there's just compliments going everywhere, and eventually the crowd you kind of move with the crowd until you're back out into the carnival proper, and all of you would notice that there's just, I mean, it's been a pretty awesome carnival so far, except for that near miss when it looked like it was going to thunderstorm early. By this point, there are brilliant, like the clouds are low enough, they're reflecting back all the light of the carnival. So it has that magic of a carnival at nighttime with all of the brilliant colored lights. Plus you see pixies and fairies and fairy dragons flying to and fro. Everybody's in good spirits. If people weren't in the big top, they're hearing the stories of people coming out of the big top, and they're now wishing that they were in there. You see people just pointing at you, and as you walk by, as your group exits, there's a little cordon that's formed as people are just applauding to you. You see it and you feel it. The mood of the carnival is just lifted. People are just walking on air. They're so excited by this. In fact, you see somebody actually walking on air, walking by. It looks like a little cloud of fairies are under their feet, laughing and cheering as they just walk by. And then you see a shadow fall over all of you as your path is blocked by a very large bugbear who is wearing bib overalls and who has a jack-o'-lantern on his head. As he stops in front of all of you and looks down at you. This is the same bugbear that was lifting great feats of strength within the carnival, or the big top, and he looks at you and he says, "Follow me. Management wants to speak with you." And that, I think, is where we're going to end tonight's session.
Looks back to everyone and goes, "It worked!"
I think we're going to end there tonight. A little bit earlier than we usually end. So if you're new here, because I know we just got raided just a few minutes ago from Geekly Inc. So welcome, raiders. Thank you, everybody. We've got a couple other new viewers here tonight. So normally we run till about 11:30, but sometimes we end early if there's a good beat on which to end. So yeah, I think that's a great place to end. We will come back next week, and hopefully Katie will be able to join us again. But you have brought the mood of the carnival up to maximum with your performances. You are being noticed, and management now wants to see you and speak with you. So we'll see what that means next week. This was a lot of fun. I hope you all enjoyed it. It's a treat to once again get to hear you sing, V. It's been a while since you've performed bardically. But everybody take a point of inspiration, because that was just a lot of fun. I had a blast, and you were all amazing. I loved the dragonfly shenanigans. It was so much fun. And a lot of that happened because you narrated that you went all Winnie the Pooh and grabbed a bunch of honey on the way over there. So, we are here every Thursday night, at 8:30 p.m. Eastern this is our very long running, campaign. This is season 6. This was episode 4. All previous seasons and episodes are available in VOD form at youtube.com/mini-terrain-domain. You can also catch us on Monday nights. I run a Scribes and Scrolls, the Candlekeep Mysteries, for a whole different group of amazing players, including Dwight and Jordan, both the other 2 folks that the 3 of us make up Mini Terrain Domain. Every other Tuesday, we have Jay Neofet running Legends of Saltmarsh, part of an interesting complementary campaign that he runs, where he runs Legends of Saltmarsh on MTD, and then on Emporium of the Wayward Gamer, he runs Saltmarsh Legends on alternate Wednesdays. They take place in the same location 100 years apart, and the events of each affect each other. It's really cool to see what he's doing with that. Coming up on, it's a couple weeks away, but it's worth noting that on March 9th will be the final episode of our Silent Sky, right? Silent Sky is our Mythos Investigators. It's our Call of Cthulhu series. M has been running us through this sci-fi Call of Cthulhu. Our final session is on March 9th, and we just announced on Monday that on April 9th, our new series is going to be moving from Big Bearded Nerd to MTD, and Carrie from the Scribes and Scrolls and Mythos Investigators will be not only GMing a trilogy of Call of Cthulhu, it is her first time GMing any game ever, and we are super excited to be along with her for that. She's been playing with us for a couple years with the Call of Cthulhu campaigns, so we are stoked for that. Once a month on Fridays, you can catch Ted and I with some other amazing players, and we just added Carlos to our Untraditionally Arcane, and Jeremy is going to announce something that I get to be a part of coming up next month too.
It's actually the 27th of this month.
Yes,
it's going to kick off. So it's a little under 2 weeks from now. I'm going to be kicking off a Firefly campaign, a mini campaign over on my channel, the Erasmus Expeditions. And I'm going to be playing the Cortex Prime system, which is brand new to all of us that are playing. But I've taken a deep dive the last couple of months in learning it, and I'm super excited to be running a game with it. And yeah, Jake's one of the players, and so is Carrie. And there's just a bunch of fantastic people that are going to be playing that game, and I'm super duper excited. So that's going to take place kicking off at 2 p.m. Central on Sunday, February 27th. Question mark. Yep.
And I'll be playing Scoot McDuff. That's all I'm going to say for now. Also, while I'm mentioning all these awesome games, we just had this Tuesday session 51 of our Curse of Strahd over on Dice on Ice with M as our amazing GM. And we might be the bad guys. I'm pretty sure we're the bad guys. We're definitely the bad guys at this point. But that campaign is, we're kind of drawing into our final arc of that, which is bittersweet, but it's been an amazing couple years playing in that group as well. Dan V, do you have any other games, anything going on where we can catch you that you want to talk about?
I have a lovely paint and slay tomorrow over on Cine Games. We're going to start up the Frog Hemoth, so myself and Lauren, we're going to be jumping into that one. And then starting Monday, there's a brand new stream that's going to be starting up for Codename Entertainment for the next 5 weeks. Idle Champions presents Court of the Raven Queen. We're getting started at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Gotta remember that one. So just if you want to check that one out, come and join us. That's a behind the scenes thing for me though. Like I'm in the call, but you don't see me.
I don't have anything personal going on, but we have Critical Role presents Call of the Netherdeep coming out soon.
Yes.
And if you go to the Dungeons and Dragons YouTube channel, Todd Kenrick has been doing a series of really cool interviews with Matt Mercer, Chris Perkins, Mackenzie DeArmas, other people who worked on the book, talking about what's going on, the characters you can meet, kind of the places you'll adventure, and yeah, super cool stuff.
And it's worth noting, because I've been doing this lately, just to mention, call out certain individuals here at MTD. We are Todd Kenrick stands. I've been watching wherever he's been moving around. I've been watching Todd's videos. Nobody gets to the heart of what's going on with upcoming D&D projects and things that Wizards and other things you guys have coming out. Todd's just amazing at what he does, and I'm so glad he's working with you guys directly, and we get to see that stuff. I love watching those videos.
Me too.
They're these awesome bite-sized, hashtag not a sponsor. They're awesome bite-sized chunks that give you a good preview of what's coming on, and Todd is just a great interviewer and does a great job with that stuff. So, all right, with that, see, normally I have Jordan and Dwight. Dwight actually has a spreadsheet to tell me who we're supposed to raid. Okay, I see Critical Bard is running. So we're gonna throw a raid over to CB as we get out of here. So stick around for that if you want to. In the meantime, I just want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. I hope you enjoyed yourself as much as we did. And if you are one of those people that just likes to lurk quietly in the background, you don't participate in chat, thank you. We appreciate you all the same, and we hope you enjoyed yourself. And finally, I want to say, as always, a huge, huge thank you to these amazing players that I get to spend my Thursday nights with, weaving wonderful tales like this. Thank you, V, Dan, M, Ted, Jeremy, and though she's not with us, she's with us in spirit, Katie, without whom it would just be me talking to myself for a couple of hours. With that, we're going to end the stream the same way we end every stream. You can say it with me if you want.
Matilda!
Barf Cyclone.